While this podcast isn't rated explicit, the content may not be suitable for younger listeners. Welcome to Sex for Saints, the Christian couple's guide to great sex. I am your host, certified sex and marriage coach, Amanda Lauder. This is episode 325, Why Sex Seems So Hard. Welcome to Sex for Saints, a podcast for Christian couples. My goal with this podcast is to help enlighten, educate, and inspire you to understand yourself, your spouse, and your sexuality better. I talk about sex in a way you probably haven't heard before. I'm bold, I'm direct, but I keep everything in line with my strong Christian values. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the podcast. So happy to have you here. Today, I want to talk about a question I get from many of you. Why does sex often seem so hard? Even when you genuinely want to have it. I get, especially from women, they're like, I like sex. I remember that it's good. And yet I struggle to want it. So why does it seem so hard even when I genuinely want to have it? Sex is a really beautiful, integral part of a healthy marriage, but it's not uncommon to face challenges in this area, as we all know. So let's break down some of the reasons why we might struggle and explore ways to make things better, shall we? So for many women, even those who like it, right? Sex can sometimes feel more like a chore than a pleasurable experience. When it feels like work, our desire to engage diminishes. And if we feel pressured into having sex, whether that's external pressure or internal pressure, it can create a sense of obligation rather than desire. Personal autonomy is crucial for sexual enjoyment. We need that freedom, right? So imagine you're tired after a long day and your partner initiates sex. If you feel obligated in any way to comply, it can lead to resentment and reduced desire. Now, this resentment can build up over time, creating a really negative association with sex. So instead, it's important to communicate openly with your partner about your needs, your boundaries, ensure that both of you feel respected and autonomous in your sexual decisions. Another reason is the mental work. Especially for women, again, the mental preparation required to get in the mood can be daunting, especially when other life stressors are in play. So women often need to get their mind and their body ready to engage. And with everything else going on in life, that can just seem next to impossible. So here's some other things that play into that. First is physical exhaustion. After a long day of work, chores, and wrangling kids, it's no wonder we're exhausted. So when you're physically drained, sex can feel like another task on an already overwhelming to-do list. For instance, a working parent might spend their entire day juggling job responsibilities and childcare, leaving little to no energy for intimacy. How familiar does that sound? All right, the second is maybe some physical pain. Conditions like chronic pain, postpartum recovery, menopause, or other health issues can make sex uncomfortable or painful. For example, someone recovering from surgery might feel anxious about having sex due to a fear of pain. So it's important to communicate these concerns with your partner and seek medical advice to find ways to make sex more comfortable. Sex should never, ever be painful. And if it is, then something is wrong and we need to get that looked at. Now, uncomfortable, especially the first couple of times, maybe, but not painful. If you are experiencing pain, you can, of course, go see your OBGYN. But my recommendation is a pelvic floor physical therapist. You can find one in your area on pelvicrehab.com. All right, the third is stress. We all are just stress-free in life, right? Well, daily stressors from work, and finances and kids and personal issues can weigh heavily on our minds, making it hard to switch gears into a sexy mindset. So picture a scenario where you're worried about meeting a deadline at work. The last thing on your mind might be getting intimate, right? Finding ways to manage stress, such as through meditation, exercise, or even talking about your concerns with your partner, can help ease this burden. Next is a lack of time. Our busy schedules often leave very little room for sex and intimacy. Imagine a couple with young children. Maybe they both work full time, whether that's outside the home or inside the home, right? Their evenings might be filled with household chores, helping with homework, and trying to get some much needed rest. So in such cases, finding time for sex and intimacy requires very intentional planning. The next is a lack of self-esteem and body issues. So feeling uncomfortable or unhappy with our bodies can make us less inclined to engage in physical intimacy. For example, if you're self-conscious about weight gain, you might avoid sex because you fear your partner's judgment or your own judgment. So building up that self-esteem through positive self-talk, self-care, and perhaps professional help can help you overcome these barriers. Then we have relationship issues. So ongoing conflicts or unresolved issues in the relationship can create emotional distance. So if you're constantly arguing with your partner, it's really hard to feel close enough for sex, right? So working through these conflicts with open communication or coaching can help rebuild that connection. Then we have sexual mismatches. So differences in libido or sexual preferences between partners can lead to frustration. For instance, one partner might have a higher sex drive than the other, right? Leading to feelings of rejection or pressure when your spouse isn't in the mood. So finding a balance that respects both partners' needs is crucial. And then last but not least, parenting demands. So the constant demands of parenting can leave little time or energy for sex. So imagine a couple with a newborn baby who wakes up multiple times a night, or a toddler that won't go to bed, right? Exhaustion can overshadow any desire for intimacy. So finding creative ways to carve out time for each other, even if it's just a few minutes, can make a difference. So let's understand how to make it better, right? Understanding the reasons why sex can feel hard is the first step, but we want to look at how to address these issues and make sex a more enjoyable part of our life. So first, physical health and mental health. We always need to understand that our physical health and our mental health directly impact our ability to have pleasure in the bedroom. So with physical health, regular exercise, a balanced diet, and getting enough sleep are foundational. If physical pain is an issue, seeing a healthcare provider for treatment or pain management options can be crucial. With mental health, stress management techniques such as meditation or coaching, or even just taking time for hobbies can significantly reduce stress. Mental health care should be a priority, as untreated issues like anxiety or depression can heavily impact sexual desire. So consider a scenario where someone's anxiety is affecting their libido. Medication and getting some professional help might help them regain their desire for intimacy. And a lot of times I know we're reluctant to do that, and some medications can make it worse. So make sure you talk to your doctor about minimizing sexual side effects. All right, then the next is improving self-esteem and body image. So working on your self-esteem and body image is another vital step. Remember, confidence in the bedroom starts with confidence in yourself. For instance, engaging in activities that make you feel good about your body, like exercise or wearing clothes that make you feel attractive, can boost your self-esteem. So this is why your relationship with yourself is always the first thing we address in coaching. So if you need help with your self-esteem and body image issues, come see me. All right, the third is communication. So effective communication with your partner is always the key. Talking about your needs, your desires, and any issues that are affecting your sexual relationship. This includes discussing expectations. So being on the same page about how often you want to have sex, that can prevent misunderstandings. For example, if one partner expects daily sex and the other comfortable is with once a week, discussing this can really help you work together to find a solution. You need to discuss preferences. So knowing what each other likes and dislikes, that can enhance the experience. So if one partner enjoys a particular type of foreplay, sharing this information can improve mutual satisfaction, making you want sex more if it's actually good sex, right? And then sharing any concerns. So addressing any physical or emotional concerns openly can help you find solutions. If there's discomfort during sex, discussing it can lead to find ways to make it more enjoyable, such as trying different positions or using lubrication. Now, the next is scheduling. Now, it might sound unromantic, but scheduling time for sex and intimacy can be incredibly helpful, especially for busy couples. So knowing that you have dedicated time for each other can help build that anticipation and make it easier to mentally prepare. For example, setting aside Friday night as your date night can ensure that you prioritize that time for intimacy, even if it just means an evening in once the kids are down for bed. And then next is creating the right environment. So setting the mood makes a big difference. Create a relaxing and inviting environment in your bedroom. This could mean dimming the lights, playing some soft music, or ensuring that the space is tidy and free from distractions. Imagine coming home to a bedroom with candles lit and soothing music playing, and it sets the tone for a more intimate and relaxed encounter. And then, of course, if there are any relationship issues that need to be addressed, whether they're like active or even underlying, really consider my couples coaching or the couples retreat might be a good option. So working through those conflicts and improving your emotional connection can reignite that physical connection. And then for parents, finding time for sex and intimacy can be a challenge, right? But consider things like date nights, right? Regular scheduled date nights can help maintain your romantic connection. Even if it's just ordering takeout and watching a movie together after the kids are asleep, it's time spent focusing on each other. Consider childcare swaps. So arranging swaps with friends or family to give you some alone time. For example, you watch your friend's kids one weekend and they watch yours the next, giving both couples time. Right? And then quality over quantity. So focus on the quality of your intimate moments rather than the quantity. Even short, meaningful connections can strengthen your relationship. A quick, passionate kiss or a few minutes of cuddling can sometimes be enough to maintain that intimacy. Now, many women, I know this, I see this all the time, put their spouse and the marriage on the back burner when raising young children. And while very tiny children need you for their survival, it is so important to continue to make your marriage and intimacy a priority. So I want you to remember that you're not alone in these struggles. If sex seems hard for you, I totally get it. Many couples face similar challenges, and really understanding the reason behind them is the first step towards overcoming them. By prioritizing your physical and mental health, improving communication, and taking practical steps to create a more inviting environment for intimacy, you can really transform your sexual relationship into a source of joy and connection and replenishment and nourishment rather than stress and obligation. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you have any questions or topics that you'd like me to cover in the future, please feel free to reach out. I would love to hear from you. Have a great week, everyone. Remember, love is a journey, not a destination. Stay committed, stay passionate, and stay connected. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. If you want to learn how to apply what I teach you on this podcast, I want to invite you to work with me in my Embrace You coaching programs. In my coaching programs, I teach you all of the skills and tools you need to have a better relationship with yourself, your spouse, and your sexuality. You also get weekly coaching to help you apply what you are learning in your own relationship. For more information, go to amandalauder.com and click Get Help in the menu to see my programs for both men and women. Like what you're hearing on this podcast? Make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Don't forget to leave me a review and share it with your friends.